Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to dive deep into the reasons why Leonard Muthende, the newly elected Member of Parliament of Mbeere North, might not be sworn into office and might end up losing his certificate that he was awarded yesterday by the IEBC as the newly elected Member of Parliament of Mbeere North. Now, in the recently concluded by-election in Mbeere North, many have mostly scrutinized this election. Elections in the Kenyan recent history. The winner of the elections of the by-elections, as per the report delivered by the IEBC after finishing the vote counting, is the UDA candidate Leonard Muthende, who won with a very close margin from the second candidate, the DP party candidate Newton Karish, who was the opposition candidate, who was beaten by only 400 to 500 votes. Now, the matter of this by-election being the election that was to determine who is the kingpin of the Mount Kenya politics between Deputy President Kithure Kindiki versus the former Deputy President and DCP party leader Rigathi Gachagua, has forced the opposition led by Gachagwa's men and his lawyer Ndegwa to pursue the matter in the court of law, challenging the results on the basis of massive vote rigging and the integrity of the IEBC for clearing Leonard Muthende to run for the said election, yet he was not a registered voter in the Mbeere North by-elections, revealing the next step by united opposition is Ndegwa who had this to say. He says, we must humbly argue the Chief Justice C.J. Martha Koome and the Kenya judiciary to urgently gazette an election court to enable us file the necessary pleadings in respect to the Mbeere North and the Malava constituencies by-election. Allow me to remind you that yesterday Ndegwa published a presser which was to reveal the issue that is currently being debated on the legality of Leonard Muthende being a voter in Mbeere North. Ndegwa published the press questioning why Muthende was vying in Mbeere North, yet he is not a registered voter in the said constituency. Quoting Ndegwa from the press release he released yesterday, he said, on the Kim's kit, the voter captured appears as Leonard Muthende, yet the name on the printed voter slip reads Leo wa Muthende, purporting to refer to the same individual. The relevant gazette notice does not recognize the name Leonard Muthende, as it was struck off once he adopted the new name Leo wa Muthende. In essence, there is no registered voter in Mbeere North by the name Leonard Muthende, nor is there any lawful alliance linking him to the Leo wa Muthende. The IEBC must rise to the moment and take immediate corrective action. Attempts to subvert the rule of law and the will of the people must be stopped now. Now, this was the press release that Ndegwa published yesterday. And from this press release, I dare tell you, you better take key note in what Ndegwa says, because this might actually be the point that will lead to the nullification of this election and Leonard Muthende losing his place as the newly elected Member of Parliament of Mbeere North. Now, one thing with Ndegwa is that he is among the most sober legal minds that we have in Kenya, having been able to win some of the most controversial impeachment cases in Kenya, including that of the former Embu governor, Governor Martin Wambora, during the Uhuru regime, where Wambora had already been impeached by the Senate. But Ndegwa was able to file an appeal which went ahead to overturn the case, and the governor was reinstated as the rightful governor of Embu County. Now, he is a man, Ndegwa NJIRU, he is a man who knows how to find loopholes in the law to argue in favor of his client, and if the judiciary is to uphold its integrity without state interference, in this case of Leonard Muthende, then Muthende's win might be nullified, forcing for a rerun in Mbeere North, or the court will be forced to stop Muthende swearing in, dragging the case up to the year 2027, same to that of Malaba constituency, where Seth Panyako was beaten by UDA candidate David Ndegwa. Now, according to Ndegwa NJIRU, and allow me to actually speak openly about these about Ndegwa NJIRU's approach towards the case of Leonard Muthende. Muthende won this election by a very small margin of 400 votes. Now, these 400 votes, we all have seen what happened in Mbeere North, where claims of mass vote rigging has been exposed, where vehicles were arrested by the public, carrying thousands of already marked votes, which meant that these votes were marked in favor of Leonard Muthende, and these votes were being taken to the polling stations so that they could be stuffed into the ballot boxes to actually make sure that Leonard Muthende wins the Mbeere North by-election. With the evidence collected all over the country, and with the evidence that is clearly being displayed, then the court of law can actually, if it is to uphold its integrity, as I said earlier, it is supposed to nullify this by-election. It is supposed to declare the election of Leonard Muthende null and void. And this is a case that I will actually try to refer it to the case of Magarini constituency in the year 2022. You know, we had a by-election in Magarini yesterday also. But in the year 2022, the UDA candidate, Karisa, was vying against an ODM candidate, where the UDA candidate lost to the ODM candidate with a margin of only 1 vote. Now, when the UDA candidate went to the court of law to file a case against this by-election, the court was forced to nullify this election after realizing that there was rigging in that election. The same case might be applied here in the case of Leonard Muthende in Mbeere North. And allow me also to speak on the matter of the press release that Ndegwa NJIRU went ahead to publish yesterday. Ndegwa NJIRU, according to the details of the high EBC, Leonard Muthende has 2 personalities. The one of the candidate who vied in Mbeere North as Lewa Muthende was recently, through the backdoor channels, put into the system of Mbeere North as a registered voter there, but with contradicting names. The other personality is that Leonard Murioki Muthende is a registered voter in Nyali constituency, Mombasa County. So, if the court of law is supposed to be genuine in this case, they should actually ask and look into the matter if this man is actually a registered voter legally in Mbeere North. Because if they are to dig deep, they will find that Leonard Murioki Muthende is even not a resident of Mbeere North. He is supposed to be voting in Nyali constituency. That is where he can vie as a member of parliament. So if this case is argued properly, and if you all know Ndegwa NJIRU very well on the cases that you have seen him take, he might find a way. And I assure you, if the court of law is to stand on its integrity, 80% are the chances that these by-elections will be nullified and a rerun will be called, or the case will drag the court will drag this case to late 2026, where the government will have no need for actually conducting a rerun in Mbeere North, because we will be heading to the general election in the year 2025. I mean 2027. If you remember, among the cases that Ndegwa NJIRU has won is the case of the the current governor of Kirinyaga County, Anne Waiguru. Also, the case of one former governor of Meru County. The first times that Ndegwa NJIRU represented the former governor of Meru County, Kawira Mwangaza, in our impeachment case, Ndegwa NJIRU won about 2 times. But when Ndegwa NJIRU took the case for the Meru County government, he won against his former client, Kawira Mwangaza, who lost and was impeached by the Senate. So what am I trying to tell you? This is a man that knows how to navigate through the rule of law. And he can navigate through the rule of law and the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya to actually winning and having Leonard Muthende's election being nullified. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear your sentiments on regards to this case actually being taken in court. Leave a comment on the comment section. See you in our next video. This is the Kenyan Daily Report.